I've been looking forward to this one. This is the FMS 110 Ford F100, and it's a rear-wheel drive monster truck, and it's a familiar looking thing, even though it's brand new from FMS. Huge suspension travel, lovely and lightweight, composite chassis underneath. Does this remind you of anything? If it doesn't, you probably haven't been watching a lot of RC content in the last year or two. It's very similar to the Armour Gorgon. I'm very interested to see what these are like. They're both brushed monster trucks. They both have composite chassis underneath. They're both lightweight, plush, empty vented tires. These are like a classic era RC car, and I can't wait to have a close look at them. Now, just to let you know, now what I should say is I love the Gorgon, even brushed. It's had a lot of use here. It's such a fun machine. Now, I've had this thing sitting like that in the shed here since I unboxed it, I don't know, a month ago. I have a conga line of cars waiting for review here, and I'm trying to get on top of them. And it's just been sitting here waiting. Now, when I pulled the top off just before I pressed play on the camera here, I wanted to just, have a quick look over it, charge the battery, and make sure I'm happy with it. I noticed that the front shock on the upper side had leaked all over the thing, and I've been wiping it for a little while. So the front left, I think it's the front left. Yeah, it is. She's still got some oil. They're both pretty leaky. And the backs seem to be quite intact. So for whatever it's worth to you, they're leaky shocks out of the box. That probably doesn't matter too much in a big, bouncy, silly, fun car like this. I'm expecting to see a bit of this. I'm expecting to see a bit of this. I'm expecting to see a lot of this. It's that kind of car, There are some differences between this and the Gorgon, but honestly, these are the only two cars, well, aside from the range. There are a few other cars from Armour that use the same composite chassis. We looked at the Fury recently, and that's a good example. Aside from those two, are there any others out there? I don't think there are any other cars on the market that I can think of that have a chassis like this. So let's take a look at this. If it's anything like the Gorgon to drive, I can't wait, because the Gorgon is just sublime. Simple, fast, fun, and silly, just perfect. Now, let's see what it comes with first before we do anything else. Decent little charger, AC, which is nice to see, 2S and 3S balanced charger. One thing I wish that little chargers like this had is a storage button, so that after you use the thing, you can put it on storage. Anyway, it's the FMS B3 10 watt charger. Comes with a couple of license plates that are kind of cool, and a wheel wrench. Pretty straightforward. Oh yes, now we have a FlySky radio. So it's FMS branded, but it's the FlySky G4P radio. It's a 4-channel. 1, 2, 3, and 4, or maybe 3 and 4 the other way. This car with no lights on board, it's simply just a 2-channel. That'll be throttle and wheel. Now I have fairly large hands. I'm pretty much 6 foot, or 6 foot and a bit, whatever it is. And it's a bit of a reach. So you're not going to be doing much one-handed driving. Although now I think about it, I think it only matters if you're driving crawlers, because fast stuff, you're not really walking, are you? It's a comfortable one. The wheel has a nice weight to it. The spring's decent as well. And there's good throw on the throttle trigger. Plenty of pull for forward, a little bit for reverse. Good enough, Let's have a look just really briefly in this manual. I just want to see what we're looking at. Oh, look at that, we get specs. So I see a 40 amp ESC and a 15 kilo servo, and it's a 2-in-1 receiver, which means this possibly has been updated. Oh, 4D. Oh, there you go. So, no. That's curious. So the G4P, I thought that was an AFHDS2 radio, but actually it's the BS series. So this is compatible with all the latest current all-in-one stuff from FlySky and some of their nicer stuff as well. So the BS series is in a 4-channel transmitter. I just learned something. I didn't know that. So there we go. Awesome. Okay, now I'll just say the Gorgon body never really needs to come off. It just has this underside battery tray that comes out like so, and that's the Gorgon. But the FMS here is slightly different. I'm seriously excited about this thing. Now, I bought this. This is not sponsored. This is a retail purchase just to show you guys. If you already have a Gorgon, it may or may not be something to buy. Look, if you really like the Gorgon and you want to drive with a friend, this would be a good option, I suspect, once we drive it, if we like it. There is a servo saver on it, just like on the Gorgon, and plastic everything, just like on the Gorgon. Unlike the Gorgon, you've got to pull the body off to get to this thing. Nice big foam block there. And look, it comes with a 3300 milliamp hour LiPo, and there's a locking bit for the battery here. So what happens is presses in, there we go, and then that just flicks forward and it's not going anywhere. You could put a taller battery in there and just pull this foam off, but and your argument might be, well, I want longer run time. I'm going to get a bigger battery. I'm going to remove that and run a fatter one in here. I'd encourage you instead to get another 3,000 to 3,500 milliamp hour 2S battery, just like the one that it came with, rather than getting a bigger one, and just change the battery halfway. Because having lower mass on this thing is going to give you more fun. It's going to give you less wear on the motor and less wear on the servo and less wear on all the running gear. You'll have a better time with a lighter battery. And in fact, if we could magic this thing just to drive as it is without any battery, it'd be better again. Less weight, for this kind of car especially, is where you want to be. I would suggest, yeah, keep it light on the battery. So if I'd seen this before I spoke before, I would have been able to tell you, yes, of course, it's the BS series. It's a 2-in-1 radio and ESC, and having this little antenna up is beautiful. There's a power switch here on the side, so we're using OEM FlySky stuff here. Nothing wrong with that. XT60 connector, standard brushed motor connectors. Can you put brushless on this? No, you can't. So if you want to change this to a brushless system down the track, assuming the drivetrain takes it, you will need to buy an RGT R6BS or R6D receiver. They're not a heck of a lot of money, but you need that and the ESC and the brushless motor. So if you buy this car and you don't want to get too technical, it's going to be a brushed system. If you want more power, there are punchier brushed systems you can stick in, and a 40 amp ESC will be ample for that. One nice thing about the BS system now, given this as a BS, is that it's going to have it'll have a set, oh, look at that. So this is a new radio. I haven't seen this before. I've got radios on my shelf that look like this, but once you lift the lid, then I can see, it's actually a different radio. We have a bunch of stuff. We've got lights here for receiver LED. It's red LED, green LED, and battery. I suppose that's battery level. It's, well, let's find out. Thought I had power in here already. The batteries are flat. Smooth professional operation here. This is a new radio, so I've just had a quick read of the manual. What pulled me up was the red and the green LED. So the red LED's just your power LED. The green LED is a status LED. Some other brands of radios over the years have had, it's like other brands of radios over the years that have had a set of different numbers of flashes and sometimes beeps that tell you what's going on. So this thing has a beginner mode. We've got a channel 4 button here, channel 3, 3-position switch. We're only using 2 channels here, right? But you can still program the thing. So if you turn it on by holding it all the way left and holding down the button and then turn it on, it'll change to beginner mode, which cuts your throttle to 50%. And to undo that, turn it off, hold it like that and hold it down, and there you go again, it'll switch it back. By default, you get 100% power. Now these dip switches are interesting too. You have running mode, and by default it's forward, brake, then release, then reverse. You can change it to crawler mode, which is forward reverse. And this little receiver is using crawlers, which is also why you've got 0, 50, 75 and 100% drag brake on dip switches 3 and 4. And quite helpfully, this information is also on the receiver, so you don't need to even look at your manual, which is really good. And this is the 3300 milliamp hour battery. This is 2S only, not 3S. That's the same as the Gorgon. And the cables need to be going toward the back when you put the battery in, because this little short fella isn't going to reach to the front. Simple as that. I'm going to run the cable under that, pull that out, snap him in. There we go, and it's kind of like a trailer. That's really good. That's really snug. Beautiful. We'll just plug him in. Good. So let's find out what happens. Power is on. There's a power switch here. It's green. I heard the servo power up then. There we go. Now we will have still button presses. I prefer dials, but we've got push buttons here for trim and endpoints and stuff. I'm just going to see about endpoints here. Oh, yeah, there's a bit more. That's quite a significant Ackerman, isn't it? Might just back it off a bit. Good enough. See the Ackerman? So they're both similar until you get to the end there, and look at the difference in the end. So it's a significant Ackerman. On a monster truck, 2-wheel drive like this, when you slow right down and you turn, you're going to get a good turning radius. Trim is pretty good out of the box. We can adjust that as we drive, and 50% reverse throttle. Good braking. This is not going to set the world on fire with speed, and that's actually fine with me. I'd like it to be slow. For this kind of car, overpower it at your peril. It'll take it, the Gorgon can take it, but there's a lot of fun to be had with the stock brushed system, really and truly there is. Is there anything else I needed to tell you? No, I don't think so. Look, as far as manuals go, this is up there with one of the better manuals I've come across. You've got exploded parts diagrams in the back, and there's a bunch of, which means if you break something, right, you can find the part number. That's what this is actually useful for, because you might think, oh, it's ready to run. When will I ever need this? Well, when you bust something, you need to know, oh, what's this part that I need? How do I make sure I order the top one, not the bottom one? And then you go here and go, oh, okay, it's 22002 instead of 22003. So this stuff is really useful for repairs, but otherwise you don't really need to worry about it. And it's got quite a lot of pages just on how to use this radio, which itself is a computer system. So that's nice. I'm a fan of this thing. Yeah, look, 15 kilo servo, it's strong enough but slow. And as you can see, quite a significant servo saver. And that's on top of the horn itself. If you're wondering what I mean by that, that's the arm coming off the servo. There's a little spring under it, so that if the wheels can't turn for whatever reason, the whole thing crinks down instead of actually turning the wheels. So you save your servo from burning up. I think that's all we really need to talk about. These lights aren't populated, and they cannot be. They're solid. For a car like this, that's probably for the best, because they're going to protect the body in a rollover. And also being solid plastic, they're less likely to break. And if you don't like them, they pop right off. So there's that. And in fact, the roll bar is still higher than the lid. Yeah, I like this. Right, well, if you think this looks cheap, it is cheap, but it's not just don't be too cynical about something like that. And they probably can, no, they probably can't be folded down. The cheapness of it is, sure, look, it is cheap to make a mold, but it also means they're just going to be tough, and you're not going to lose any sleep over wrecking them up, because you probably will once it's been on the lid a couple of times. I like that it's got captured body pins. I like that you've got alternate number plates, or license plates, I think you guys call them in the US. I just like this car. It's also nice seeing the wheelie bar using the modern design. What I mean by modern design is how tucked in it is. Some of the wheelie bars of designs, older designs, used to be kind of like out, like a Stampede and stuff. This, yeah, I'm quite a fan of it. Well, let's see how it drives. Hey, I'm actually quite excited to get this out. And I think the paint job just looks smashing too. It's so nice. All right, let's drive. One other thing I see now that the body's on is that the bumper is in front of the body. On the Gorgon, it sits below and there's a bit of a gap. See how the bumper on the FMS is in front of the body, whereas the Gorgon, it's actually underneath it. Let's see what we think of this thing, eh? Oh yeah, lovely. Look at that, look at that. So when you go slowly on a truck like this, your turning circle is really good, right? And it is slightly better to the left just due to how the thing's made. Decent brakes. And those big puffy wheels with no foams really hook up. And there's plenty of travel in that suspension. The diff's quite loose in the rear as well. And like the Gorgon, this is a big floaty machine. So you can barrel around all you like, and it'll just be a happy little machine. Now that motor is going to get quite hot. And if you're in long grass, you will burn the motor out with wheels like this, with no mechanical sympathy. Ah, look at that. This floats very nicely. It doesn't quite feel as light and floaty as the Gorgon, but the handling is definitely there. Do we need the wheelie bar? Well, I don't know about that. Let's just see quickly what it's like on a more sealed surface. I do like these brakes, they're quite good. I like the steering better on this than on the Gorgon. And I keep mentioning the Gorgon because they really are very similar cars. All right, we'll just make this very brief. Oh, look at that. So from even, let's see if it does it downhill. Oh yeah, look at that. All right. Oh, this is good for all sorts of fun. This is good for silly fun as well. And if you time it just right and accelerate while it's still slow, and you can pick the nose up a bit, it'll do what you want. It'll cock a leg and all the rest of it. See, it cocks a leg on steering. That's quite fun. All right, let's punt it around my so-called track. All right, let's see what we think of this thing. Now, there's no gyro on this, if you're wondering. And I'd suggest you don't want a gyro on this. I mean, look, it could make things a bit more stable, but really, it's a slow car, it's got big tires, you won't need a gyro. Just have fun with it. And if you really need to steer sharply, just brake and it'll come right around. Look, brake, you're already facing the other way. Because it's relatively low power, sometimes, like I just did on the road here, just before you hit a jump, you've got to come off the throttle so that you can hit the throttle, which will pick up the nose. It won't do it while you're going fast, it'll only do it when you're going slowly. So if you want to have a nose up jump like that on a little thing, or even off the lip on my little driveway just before, you want to time it so that you're right off the throttle and even going a bit slower, so that you can plant it just before the jump and you can predictably get the nose up. Because if you hit that jump at full speed like this, okay, it's short enough, I'll come the other way, you're more likely to have a nosedive potentially, put it that way. Full speed now. All right, so this thing doesn't go fast enough to get itself in trouble on this jump, but it takes a little bit of thought with a car like this. And if you slow it down so that it's within its punch like that, you can just ensure that the front does what you want. This harkens back a couple of decades, honestly, to slower cars. It's still plenty fast. A track like this, I don't know, oh, okay, it did not want to get back on its feet. Let's go get it. Yeah, before I rolled, I was just saying a track like this really isn't what this truck's for, because it'll feel slow. Even this kind of thing, it's not really the right terrain. Hang on, we picked up a stick, I think. Look, it's still a lot of fun. Oh, that was tidy, wasn't it? Where this thing is really going to excel, it's not even stuff like this. Fun as it is, where it's really going to excel is in a car park with speed bumps and stuff, or somewhere where the jumps are a little bit smaller, or saving that, somewhere where you've got more space just to run the thing in, you know, just where it can just open it up a little bit and stretch its legs. What we're looking for is somewhere where you can just have a bit of fun. Make a little course for yourself, you know, and just enjoy the drifty, bouncy nature of this thing. Because honestly, something that's light like this, it's really just where it's at. We've picked up another stick. It's a silly truck. That was fun. Where does this leave us? This is a punchy little thing on asphalt. I tell you what, it really took off. I noticed once the volts dropped after 10 minutes, it no longer was able to do wheelies. I'd have to drive the Gorgon again to see, and so perhaps I'll do a head-to-head with any other two-wheel drive monster trucks I've got. Maybe this is it. What do we got here? I think that might be it for two-wheel drive stuff. Do you know what I need to get? I also need to look at the, I suppose the two-wheel drive Stampede would be a similar one. I don't know if I want to pay Traxxas money in Australia because it's eye-wateringly expensive. But certainly this thing and the Gorgon are worthy head-to-head contenders. I bet you there are a bunch of videos out there already actually, and you know, reasonably so. I like this car. I think I like the body on this better. It's polycarbonate, whereas the, whatever the thing was on the Gorgon, polyvinyl or something. I like how polycarbonate wears better. The snakes on a plane / Gorgon style theme of the Gorgon is definitely fun. This is a more serious truck, being more scale in nature. They're both a hoot to drive. They're both light and floaty fun. This didn't feel as floaty as the Gorgon. Look, I'll stop saying the G word. We're going to come back to that for a comparison. What do I think of this? If the price is right and you can get it for decent money wherever you are in the world, yeah, look, it's a decent car. The caster angle of these front wheels is absolutely right. That's the angle. Like it's, you can kind of see it if you look at the angle of these arms. They're on, the angle, they're similar to a buggy actually. Any buggy I see over there, they're all the same. The rear is as it should be. And look, this is also a mid-mounted motor. It's in front of the rear axles. That makes it a mid-motor. Everything is as it should be. I quite like this car. It was certainly, it stood up to all the abuse. Now granted, I didn't take this to a skate park, and I think the first thing that would suffer would be this body. We do have some scratches on the lid here from the one crash. Did we go upside down just once? I think I was only upside down once, yeah. The spotties popped off, but otherwise she was a happy truck. You could still toughen it up a bit. But here's one nice thing about this over something like a short course truck. When the body's on, the wheels are actually outside of the truck. Hang on, Craig, come on, get the, oh, back to front. When the body's on, the wheels are outside and not under the body, which means even after being on the mud today, it stays pretty clean and it also stays fairly intact. There's a little dusting of mud under it, but there's really not much. And I like how polycarbonate bends. And I like to see the plastic behind this. It's just the reinforcement's good. And that front bumper really protects this from being scratched up too badly. And although they sit similarly in the height, the Gorgon has ever so slightly more clearance. The motors are in the same spot. The steering is similar. They both have the same kind of angles and stuff. The Gorgon is just a different beastie in a few ways. So there's your track. So these really are very similar cars. Without batteries, they also weigh a similar amount as you'd expect. You're going to stay brushed. You can put a lower tone motor in this thing. It'll chow through batteries faster, but it'll certainly take it. 40 amp ESC will still let you go to, you might get away with an 11 turn, probably a 12 turn you get away with. I have a 14 turn in that at the moment. I need to see the spec sheet. I'll put it on screen whatever the turns are on this thing, because I can't read it, but it felt, if I was going to guess, it felt like a 15 turn, maybe a 14 turn, depending on gearing. Given it could do that on asphalt, yeah, or how do you say it in America? Asphalt? FMS, keep making good stuff. I just love seeing what you guys are doing. This is a fun machine, and it's, look, if you put these next to each other and said, Craig, take one and I'll take the other and we'll go drive, I wouldn't mind which one I drove, honestly. I like them both. So thanks for watching, guys. Throw me a like if you enjoyed this one. Subscribe if you haven't. If you don't want to miss what's coming next, I've got a bunch of cars coming, and that long promised short course truck roundup is coming very soon. We've got a lot of good stuff. I've got some fun stuff that I haven't even told you about. That'll do me for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time on RC-TNT. Cheers.